YouTube, Drake News here, come today with a Halloween special of one of my good friends' deck profiles of his Ghostrick decks. This has been one of the best trolliest deck I've ever met, and it just really screwed me over so many times. And I'll just pass it on to him. Go ahead.
Alright, so we're going to start with extra deck first. It's pretty standard. You're actually playing pretty straight into the archetype. You're going to have 3 Dullahans. This is going to be your problem solver for the most part. He is going to be having the attack of your opponent's monsters during the damage step during either player's turn. So if you're having any problems getting over any monsters or they're really messing with you with their effects, this is going to be your way out. You don't get into it a lot, but every now and then you will actually be able to go into Cain and Abel. Their effects are going to be, whenever both of them are on field, any damage you would take from either of them, your opponent takes instead, and once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach a material to make all of your opponent's monsters attack them during the battle phase. So you make them kill themselves. You're also going to play one So Cute boss, just because you are going to be siding in another doll every now and then, and this card is actually going to take away one of your opponent's monster card zones. Through its effect. Basically what it does is, for the attack of all of your face-up Ghostricks, you get to target a monster on the field and get rid of that monster card zone and destroy the monster that was in it. Next, you are playing 3 Alucards. This is going to be your back row hate mostly for the deck. He's going to destroy any set cards. You're going to have a lot of cards in here that's going to set your opponent's monsters, so he's also a solution to any of that. Aside from that though, he is ulti and he is pretty.
Yeah, very pretty.
You're going to run one Downward Magician. Just, again, problem solving. Say you have one of your things get Fiendish Chained and you run out of your Spoiled Angels or your Angel of Mischiefs. This is going to get you out of that Fiendish Chain and give you a monster you can actually do things with. And last for the extra deck, you are playing 3 Angel of Mischief. This is going to be the way you actually search out your Ghostrick spell and trap cards. On top of that, it's also going to be the way that you're going to get your other extra deck cards into grave. Because your Ghostrick Xyz monsters actually all have the effect of being able to be overlaid just like a Beatrice. So you put her on top of Dullahan, Spoiled Angel, or Alucard, and then you get to activate her effect. And when you do, you search your deck for the spell or trap card, and then Dullahan and Alucard have the same effect in that whenever they hit grave, they get to add a Ghostrick card, monster, spell, or trap card from graveyard to hand. So that is going to be it for your extra deck. You are actually not playing 15 cards. This deck gives a lot of wiggle room if you want to go in for something like a Castell or an Honor Arc. You are only playing 13 extra deck cards, so you do get some room there. But on to the main deck. Keep in mind this is the current meta for October 2016. I played 2 Marys, just because the meta has sped up quite a bit, especially with Mermails. And so what Mary does is whenever you take damage, any kind of damage, effect, or battle, you can discard it from your hand, and when you do, you get to special summon any Ghostrick face down defense position from your deck. You are going to run 3 Lanterns. Their effect is whenever you get attacked directly, or when a Ghostrick you control is attacked, you get to special summon it in face down defense position and negate the attack. 3 Jack Frost. Whenever you get attacked directly, flip your opponent's monster that is attacking face down, and if you do, special summon this card in face down defense position. 3 Spectre. Whenever a Ghostrick monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon this card in face down defensive position, and then draw a card. And of course, 2 Kinkabio. As you've noticed, we're playing a lot of level 1s. This card is really good for getting into an instant Dullahan. On top of that, it's going to be really great for the next monster I'm about to show y'all. So this can really push your plays forward a lot. Mystic Piper has one of the most amazing effects in the game, very abusable by Kinkabio, in that you just tribute him, and it is tribute for cost, so if they want to try to Veilor it or anything like that, they actually miss monster, unless they do it on summon. But he actually gets you to draw a card, you reveal it, and if it's a level 1, you get to draw again, and if you notice we're playing, I want to say, about 12 or 13 level 1s. So a fourth of your deck is going to get you an extra draw, and even if you don't, whatever card you draw, you get to keep. I can't tell you how many times I get into my good spell and trap cards with it, and then the mind games hit the opponent. Oh, he has this card face down now. Do I want to continue with my play? And whether you actually get the card or not, the level 1, he will do wonderful things for you. You play one doll. Whenever doll is flipped face up, at the end of the turn, everything flips face down, and then for every card flipped down by her effect, you get to special summon a Ghostrick whose level is less than or equal to that number. You are playing 3 Jiangshi. Her effect is one of the best in the deck in terms of board control. Whenever she's flipped face up, you get to search your deck for any Ghostrick card, monster. The level is equal to the number of face-up Ghostricks you control. So my favorite thing to do is pick Spectre. Because of timing, the flip happens and then the search happens before the destruction, and then on destruction, Spectre replaces Jiangshi on field and gives you the card. So you're basically using Jiangshi to get 2 cards. And you can also go for a Mary into a Jiangshi, into a Spectre, into a draw. So very comboable, keeps your play going. Next is your technical win condition of the deck, which is going to be Ghostrick Skeleton. His effect is whenever he's flipped face up, for every Ghostrick card you control that is face up on the field, you mill your opponent for 1 card, face down, out of play. So say your opponent doesn't play Desires, you make them play Desires without the draw now. It's beautiful. You can get up to 5 cards per turn during either player's turn with your spell and trap cards, depending on how you have your board set up. But aside from that, he is an amazing card. Next, that is for all the monsters. We're going to go into magics. We're going to have 1 ofs. We're going to go for Upstart and 1 Day of Peace. Obvious reasons you want to get a little bit deeper into your play. And then this card. With this deck, you will be going into time a lot. Now, for the most part, people play cards that hurt their life points, instant fusions, anything like that. If they're turn 0 and you're turn 1, and you activate a 1 Day of Peace after they instant fusion, you win. You literally win. Because you don't take damage for that entire next turn, and they've already hurt themselves. For the last spell you play is a triple Book of Eclipse. Keep in mind the deck is made to deck people out, and so people a lot of the time think that giving your opponent 4 or 5 cards at the end of their turn is a really bad idea. But when you've already milled 20 away and they're milling themselves and searching, you hit them with a Book of Eclipse at the end of the turn, and it is brutal for them. Especially when you think that it's actually chainable. So during the end phase, say you have 2 set, you activate 1. All their monsters flip down during battle phase or whatever, you skip their battle phase for that. Then during the end phase, they all flip up and they draw 4, and then you chain Book of Eclipse. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to make them draw 8 cards, which means they're going to be at least discarding 2, because that's all in end phase. Going into traps, you're going to play 2 Ghostrick Vanish. This card is going to be your curtain, basically. You're going to reveal a Ghostrick card in hand, and for the rest of the turn, all face-down defense position monsters you control and Ghostrick cards you control, including spells, traps, anything that has Ghostrick in its name, is non-targetable and cannot be destroyed by card effects. Battle is the only thing that will get over them. Next, you're playing 2 Scare. Scare is going to be the thing that actually lets you use Skeleton during your opponent's turn. So what Scare does is it targets any number of face-down defense monsters you control. That is the cost, by the way. And then it's going to flip them up. And when they're flipped up, you get to non-targetingly flip opponent's monsters down equal to the number you controlled that are Ghostricks up to. So say you have 5 cards and you flip them all up in their Ghostricks, you can flip up to 5 cards your opponent controls face down. Now, the great thing about this is 1, doesn't target. 2, the cost is the targeting, so they're going to have to tag out their spirit before you actually flip anything face down, so they're not going to really be able to dodge the effect with anything. But the best part about this is it actually gets Skeletons and Jiangshis off during your opponent's turn, milling them and searching. Last but not least, you play the Abuse card in the deck, which is going to be Ghostrick Break. And just to give you a little breakdown of how this card is going to work in the deck, whenever a Ghostrick card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to special summon 2 Ghostricks from the graveyard that have a different name than the destroyed card. So the way this works, you want to use this a little late game, but the ideal situation is again from the Jiangshi into a Spectre. So we'll just start at the Spectre. So you have a Spectre set and a Break set. They attack into your Spectre. It dies and you activate Break. You're going to summon 2. Ideally, you're going to have at least 2 Dullahan, or a Dullahan and an Alucard. Now, it summons them in face-down defense position in case you don't have any extra deck Ghostricks. So that means if you wanted to be able to use the Skeleton effect, you'd be able to. But summons in face down, and then they're going to have to get over them next turn, or this turn if they have more attacks. But as soon as they do, they go to grave. And they're going to add your break back. Every turn. You're going to keep bringing back your Xyz, and you're going to keep bringing back your break. And it's never going to end. You're going to get 2 cards from this. So you can either keep doing Spectres to replace the card that got destroyed, or you can do a double break. Either way works. Either way is very abusable. Moving on. You're going to have into the non-Ghostricks traps now. 3 Quaking. Again, abuse of Alucard is going to be really important in the deck. Say they have a problem monster. The biggest problem you're going to have is going to be a Crystal Wing, because it's going to be able to negate anything you put out. And you don't really have a lot of baiting power in this deck. So unless you can get it face down, you can't really do much. But this is going to be the easiest way to get rid of it. And last but not least, you are playing a control deck, so 3 strikes are going to be highly recommended for it. Strikes are strikes, man. You know, there's not much to say about it. Whenever your opponent would summon anything that's not a normal summon, negate and destroy. If your opponent activates an effect you don't like, negate and destroy. If your opponent wants to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, negate and destroy. Then for the side deck, you don't really need to side much just because you are anti-meta. And so just in general, your entire deck is basically the meta's worst nightmare. But you are going to play an Umastrix. You're actually playing 2 of them. And its effect is whenever a monster you control is flipped face down, and you control no face-up monsters, which Ghostricks all have that effect, you actually special summon it in face-up defense position. And once per turn, it can flip itself face down. Whenever it's flipped face up, target 1 monster your opponent controls and banish it. Again, problem solving. Next, you are running 1 Swords of Concealing Light. Blue Eyes is a thing, unfortunately. And that'll actually get rid of that for you. Put their entire deck face down, basically. And then laugh at them while they can't activate any of their effects. As I mentioned before, you are siding the second doll. Won't go back over doll, but you are siding the second one. The third Mary is also inside. Just in case you do go against Mermails, you really want to open this card. Even though you're normally going to go first. If they try to hit you with anything turn 2, this is going to keep you alive. You are running 1 to 2 Ceasefire in side deck if you go into sudden death. Basically, you set any monster, and then your opponent's standby phase just flip Ceasefire, and they take 500 for every effect monster on field, and you auto win. Next is Burst Rebirth. This is basically going to be your Monster Reborn for the deck. Unfortunately, it does cost 2,000 life points, but then you get to special summon any monster from your graveyard in face down defense position. Effects readily available. And you are running 1 Dark Sanctuary. You're not going to go into it a lot, just because most of the time you have better answers. In that Quaking is a thing, Scare's always applicable. But just in case you don't have anything you can go into, this does give you a 50-50 chance to just negate the attack completely, and then inflict half of that damage to your opponent instead. Again, if you go into turns, it's pretty good, but for the most part, this card is going to stay in your side deck. So, that is going to be the deck profile for the Ghostricks. Keep in mind that if you're going to be playing this deck, you are playing anti-meta stun. So if you try to get too aggressive, you're going to run into a lot of problems. None of the Ghostricks really defend themselves from any of the forces, Mirror Force, Air Force, any of that. So do be careful attacking if you ever do. For the most part, your monsters should never initiate battle though. Their effects are going to win the duel for you.
Alright, well thank you guys, and this is Drake Niels with Halloween Special. I hope you guys liked this video, and until then, see y'all next time. Take care.